What is going on, guys? Brent with West Coast Bassin. We are going to go into a kind of a long story. It is the worst tournament that I have ever fished or ever had or ever experienced. We've usually had decent experiences while fishing the tournaments that we do fish and kind of being able to enjoy ourselves. And on this particular weekend, everything went wrong. And the stuff that went wrong went really wrong. And it kind of all just mixed together and made for a horrendous tournament. And we didn't do too bad. We were able to kind of just scrounge together what we could catch in the times that we were allotted. So I'm sure some of you have heard of the Snag Proof Open. It's on the Delta every single year. That's one of our favorite tournaments. And on this particular year, we had a lot of issues. Usually, getting Dad's boat fires right up, never had issues. We always take his boat to the tournaments. It's just how it's always been. So we got down there, and for those of you who don't know, Snag Proof is a 6-hour tournament because in the state of California, between I think it's like beginning of June until I believe it's September, you can only have 6-hour tournaments per day for the fish. That's to protect them and just anyway. So they run it from 11 to 5. And then you first light to, I believe, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, depending on how many flights are out there. So this first day, we dropped in, I think it was like 9:45 in the morning, and blast off's like 11:30. Tried to turn the key, there was nothing. I had no power. Boat wouldn't even give me the actual beep, the warning alarm to tell me that the motor's getting ready to start. So I thought that was really weird, and I had nothing. So I actually had to jump up as quickly as possible, grab a hold of the first pillar. It was actually the last pillar, but the first pillar that I could get my hands on as I'm sliding out at Russo's Marina next to this dock. There's a big dock that comes out the side. And the boat, when we dump in the water, we dump in fast enough to where if the motor doesn't fire, you can literally drift straight out into the channel. And the channel's got pretty good current coming. So I actually grabbed onto it and tried to dump the trolling motor, and he had actually shut the trolling motor off too. So the trolling motor, I had to go back and flip the Perco switch and get that started. But luckily I was able to get a hold of him really quick and tell him, hey, we're having issues. I don't have any power to the boat. Unfortunately, we had to jump the boat throughout the afternoon. So luckily he was able to park the truck down there because I was going to drive over, pick him up at our docking. We got I call it a wet slip, but just a boat slip. Leave the boat in the water overnight, and then you can leave your trailer in the parking lot. And it was just down the way. It was probably about a mile away. So you just get out on Frank's track, run a couple hundred yards, and you slip back into the side channel. And so he turned around, came back, and he helped me get the boat fired up. And luckily, once the boat fired up, I ran it over there to him, and we got in the boat. We were able to shut it off, turn it back on, no problem. So we're like, okay, maybe something just drained throughout the trip down there. He's like, I checked the batteries before we left, so everything looked good, everything seemed good. And with the tide dropping, we parked on a side we never park on. And we actually almost got stuck in the mud. We had to kind of give it some throttle to get out of there, and which may have caused what's about to happen next. So they blast us off, and the way that his old boat was set up, it was a Cobra 201 with a 2013 Mercury 250 Pro XS. It had a Bravo 1 4-blade. It was a 26 pitch, and the boat would do between 74 and 75 miles an hour depending on the day. And it was a rocket. It would hold corners well. Super fun boat to drive. It was like driving a Ferrari. These big Champions, they don't corner as well as unless you drop the motor all the way down. It was, for his old boat, just barely tap the trim, drop the motor into it, or drop the nose into the corner, and you could rip through the corner real quick. So we do, that's something that he really misses, and he's fighting right now trying to figure out how to get our boats to do that. So getting back on track, we leave Frank's track and we start just ripping past boat one after another, and we ended up into Little Potato Slough, and we're kind of coming through and we get to Devil's Cut, which then turns into a White Slough, and we're just about to the corner in Devil's Cut, pass a boat, make it about another 2 miles away from where this boat was, and it was a brand new. So anyways, we're right at being into the one of the hard turns into Devil's Cut, and we're probably about, I would say, a mile from that, and the channel kind of splits and then it comes back together. Well, we were kind of riding right behind one of the brand new Rangers, and so we went to go around and pass him in that cut, and when we did, we actually caught the side of his wake and it took the boat and turned it sideways, and so when it hit the water it torqued real hard. Well, we've done it a few times, so we've never had an issue with any components getting torqued too hard or overstressing. And we powered out of it, came around the corner, passed him, walked away, ran about 2 more miles into White Slough, almost a honker cut, and motor just started wobbling, and we ended up throwing a blade. So we were right there at the intersection, if you know where it is, at Honker Cut and White Slough. And we were trying to figure out, because he decided that we've had such good luck, why bring a spare prop? That's one reason why you always keep a spare prop in your boat. So luckily I still have one of the greatest friends you will ever have in your entire life. If you have friends like this, hold on to them. I picked up the phone and I asked him, "Are you in town?" He said, "Yeah, I'm just eating lunch." Cool. Can you go to my dad's house and go into his garage? Told him right where the prop was, and I said, "I need that prop, and I will drop you a pin at where it needs to be. Can you get it down here?" And he said, "Yeah, no problem. I'll be there in 2 hours." It's about 1 hour and 30 minutes. He called me, "Hey, I'm here." Sweet. He hauled butt down to the marina for us, and we were able to get to the marina, swap the props out, and continue on our day. And we actually were able to salvage that day, and we caught a couple 4-pounders and one, I think it was about 2, maybe 2.5. So we were able to put ourselves in contention to be in the top 10 for the next day. I think we went out, we might have been right in that top 10, top 15 mix. And we got to the boat the next morning, and mind you, we got off the water, we had been jumping from the trolling motor batteries onto the cranking battery just to keep the boat going throughout the day. While we were fishing and doing all that stuff, we left the graphs shut off. Like, we tried everything just to keep running the boat and make sure that the battery was somewhat charged. When we got back to the ramp, to our slip, we've been talking about it throughout the day, and I offered to drive 2.5, 3 hours north to my house, drop off his boat on the way to my house, and pick up this boat. We had just gotten this boat a few months before, and I knew the batteries were good. I knew that it was ready to go and we could fish out of it, no problem, not have any issues. And he said, "You know what? No, we'll charge batteries all night. They'll be fine in the morning." Unbeknownst to us, the Optima blue top that we had was actually, the whole cell was fried. There was nothing we could do. It was basically just a ticking time bomb, whether it was going to be you're able to get some sort of a charge out of it, or you were going to have no charge whatsoever. So the next morning, got there, jumped the battery, boat fired up, and we idled. We decided, we're like, you know what, we're just going to idle around, just kind of tootle, try and put some load on it, try and see if we can maybe put a charge in it. We'll go from there. It was kind of a blessing in disguise. 3 boats before our number was called, we're getting ready to leave, and the motor just quit. There was nothing, couldn't start it, couldn't jump it, nothing. So we told the director, went all the way back to the ramp. We undid the battery. He took off as fast as he could to go to town to get us another battery. And out of a 12-hour tournament, we lost between 5.5, I would say, we're gonna rough guesstimate, 4 to 5.5 hours out of a 12-hour tournament. Most of it was in the first day where we had a lot of issues going on out on the water and just jumping stuff. And then the next day we lost about 2 hours before he got back. He got back with that battery, threw it in, we took off, had no issues the rest of the day. And within 5 minutes at our first spot, we caught a fish, and it was a good fish. It was about 3 pounds. So I was like, sweet, we're gonna pull our heads out of our butts on this one, and we're gonna be able to really make something happen. Bite died. After talking to some of the guys there that day, they said you had to be on them in the morning, otherwise it was a super tough bite. And it was. I think we came in with 2 fish after that, and I think we ended up in like 17th place at the end of this tournament. Most of our problems were the day before, and then they led into the next day. But I mean, that was honestly one of the worst experiences I've ever had. If I was sick to my stomach knowing that most of our issues were caused by just stupid little things that happened, and some of them were out beyond our control. We don't know what exactly went on with the prop, if it was just it got over torqued, or maybe it got a little bit of a crack when it was, might have had some mud or rock that kicked up on it when we got stuck. And I mean, it was just one of those deals that everything fell apart. The wheels literally came off the bus this time. We've had tournaments where we've had some issues and we've overcome them, and we've been able to move past that. This one, and he had a power pole, the first generation or second generation, there was the Pro Series 2. He had a single one on the back of his boat, and we've always had issues with it where sometimes we get stuck down. We've replaced lines on it, we've done a ton of stuff, we've talked to power pole. Always had every now and then it would act funny. Well, while we were having all these other issues, it actually got stuck down in the down position. We put it down to stop the boat so we could fish a large, I call it cheese. It's a floating mat that it looks like cheese. It's yellow in color, it's thick. Fish get up underneath it and they just hide out. It's usually around the Hyacinthia stuff in the water. It got stuck in the mud down there. And so we literally had to actually pull forward with the boat and take a rope and pull up on it just to get it out of the mud. I don't know if it was suctioned or what, but we ended up having to tie it off and tie it to the boat because it wouldn't go up or down. So if you guys have any stories like this, drop them down in the comments below. Let me know if you like stories like this, you like videos like this. I've got tons of them and would love to share them with you guys, so maybe that you won't make the same mistakes that we did. And just, get out there, have fun, share some fish stories with us. We'll talk to you soon.